Good evening, televiewers, and welcome to this Friday's edition of the English newscast on Info Television. We kickstart with our top stories. After several months of peacekeeping duty in the Central African Republic, the 11th Cameroonian contingent serving under MINUSCA has safely returned home. And the Centre Regional Council has adopted a 14 billion CFA francs for the 2026 fiscal year aimed at accelerating development across the region. Those were our headlines. Details in a jiffy. Welcome back. The 11th contingent serving under MINUSCA has safely returned home after several months of peacekeeping duty in the Central African Republic. This was visible during a ceremony at the military headquarters brigade in Yaoundé, as you tell us in this report, Phillips Enchi.
The 11th Cameroonian contingent from the United Nations Multidimensional Integrated Stabilization Mission in the Central African Republic, MINUSCA, during a retrocession ceremony of the flag at the military headquarters brigade, a court of honor on January 30th, 2026, hand over the flag to the minister delegate at the presidency in charge of defense, Joseph Betia Somo. This handover ceremony comes a few months after the contingent's peacekeeping mission in the Central African Republic under the command of Lieutenant Colonel Kene Nchinda Martial Valère.
Commandant le 11e bataillon camerounais en Centrafrique en fin de mission. À vos ordres, Excellence, Monsieur le Ministre.
The MINDEF boss uses this opportunity to appreciate the efforts deployed during their peacekeeping mission.
The return of the flag, beyond its ceremonial significance, marks your return home and is a moment that recognizes the remarkable quality of our commitment in the Central African Republic. Through your determination, your high sense of duty, and your considerable efforts, you have been able to protect vulnerable civilian populations, contribute to the consolidation of Central African institutions, and significantly strengthen Cameroon's influence and credibility on the international stage.
The deployment of the contingent abroad reflects President Paul Biya's commitment to international cooperation in promoting peace and security within the sub-region and across the world.
It illustrates once again the constant desire of the head of state, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, His Excellency Paul Biya, to make the contribution of the Cameroonian defense and security forces to international peacekeeping operations in general and to MINUSCA in particular.
The contingent, which departed Cameroon on September 18, 2024, successfully completed its mission despite the loss of 2 corporals and a chief warrant officer who died in line of duty.
We pay tribute to 3 of your brothers in arms who fell in the line of duty, namely Chief Warrant Officer Epé, Jean-Marie, and Caporal Usongo Robert, both of whom died as a result of illnesses contracted while on mission. as well as Caporal Daiji Vansu, who was tragically killed on 10 January 2025 in a fatal road accident that occurred during an escort mission.
In honor of the fallen soldiers, the minister called for a minute of silence in their memory. With the return of the 11th MINUSCA contingent, the troops are now back under the direct authority of the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Head of State and President of the Republic, Paul Biya. The ceremony draws its curtains with a military parade saluting the effort during their peacekeeping mission in the Central African Republic.
And in other news, the Minister of Basic Education, Professor Laurent Serge Tundingwa, and the Secretary of State to the Minister of Basic Education, Dr. Vivian Ashirikilo, received New Year wishes from the ministry staff and collaborators. The ceremony took place on January 29, 2026 at the Government Bilingual Primary School, Bastos. Reports.
In a solemn and grandiose twin ceremony on January 29, 2026, at the explanade of the Government Bilingual Primary School Bastos, a fruit of the cooperation between Cameroon and Japan, in the Yaoundé 1 subdivision, Mfundi Division Center region, the Minister of Basic Education, Professor Laurent Serge Tundingwa, and the Secretary of State to the Minister of Basic Education, Dr. Ashiri Kilo, received New Year wishes from close collaborators of the ministry in the presence of the Minister chargé de mission at the Presidency of the Republic and brother to the Minister of Basic Education, Philippe Mbangamboa.
Notamment la direction du suivi de l'enseignement privé de base sous la conduite de Madame Clémentine. Nous poursuivons avec l'administration centrale.
The ceremony continued with a feedback presentation by the Secretary General of the Ministry, Dr. Adams Daniel Oyono, who outlined the ministry's achievement for the year 2025. He highlighted major accomplishments, including the construction of ultra-modern primary and nursery school infrastructures, the integration of 5 local mother tongues into the school curriculum through the Elan Afrique program, amongst other key initiatives. The Minister of Basic Education went on to acknowledge the efforts of the staff throughout the year 2025, commending their achievements and expressing optimism for improved performance in 2026.
Tous ceux qui travaillent au ministère de l'Éducation de base sont véritablement au travail depuis quelques années.
All of you who've been working at the Ministry of Basic Education, keep doing so tirelessly throughout the year. I do commend your effort for this. This is a clear proof that you love your country. To our technical, financial, and social partners, they are doing a marvelous job in our country. Let us thank them with a hand of applause. The year 2025 has been successful with a convincing roadmap providing an enabling environment for the Ministry of Basic Education to provide expected results.
This ceremony was very good for us. We felt very appreciated by the staff. The reports that they gave were very encouraging, and we're also very appreciative of the collaboration from our staff and our collaborators, if I may say. It wasn't all rosy, but I think that for 80% we achieved what we set out to achieve. We had a little problem of security which they raised, but you also realize that with our partners supporting us, we have made sure that many of our schools are fenced. We've made sure that teachers are working in secure environment.
The Secretary of State to the Minister of Basic Education, without hesitation, outlined the roadmap for 2026.
In collaboration with the World Bank, is working on getting birth certificates for our children. That has been a perennial problem, especially those who are in the examination classes. We are also looking at hosting a big conference of the French-speaking education conference, which is going to be here at the end of April, from the 28th, I think, to the 31st or to the 30th of April. That is a big thing for us. And the fact that our minister is now a member of the UNESCO is a major thing.
Satisfied with the result achieved throughout the year 2025, the Secretary General at the ministry salutes the efforts of the minister and his election as member of the Executive Board of UNESCO.
I have the privilege, on behalf of the entire basic education family, to extend best wishes of all the staff of BINEDU to His Excellency Professor Laurent Serge Edoutingwa, Minister of Basic Education, and Her Excellency Dr. Viviane Achirikilo Fofung, Secretary of State to the Minister of Basic Education, and their respective families for 2026 New Year's.
The ceremony continued with the award of medals, notably 4 orders of valor, including 2 commanders, 1 officer, and a knight. This was followed by the decoration of 8 recipients of the Order of Cameroonian Merit, as well as the Order of Sports Merit, awarded at the rank of Knight to Dr. Doko Ejan Mathieu Alain, Director of Financial and Material Resources at the Ministry of Basic Education. The event proceeded with a handshake to the Minister of Basic Education and the Secretary of State to the Minister of Basic Education from close collaborators, wishing a happy and a prosperous new year. All that begins well ends well, as the minister close collaborators are expecting to be part of the same event come 2027.
Dr. Doko Ejane Mathieu Alain, Director of Financial and Material Resources at the Ministry of Basic Education, was awarded the Order of Sports Merit in Yaoundé. This was in a ceremony marked by grandeur and solemnity. Let's watch.
The distinction was conferred during the New Year wishes ceremony to the Minister of Basic Education, Professor Laurent Serge Edoutingwa, and the Secretary of State to the Minister of Basic Education, Dr. Achirikilo, in Yaoundé on January 29, 2026 at the explanade of the Government Bilingual Primary School, Bastos, in the Yaoundé 1 subdivision, Mfundi Division, Center Region. In the name of the President of the Republic, and by the authority vested in me, I hereby confer upon you the Medal of Sports Merit at the rank of Knight. Dr. Doko Ejane Mathieu Alain, who serves as a chairman of the board of directors of Colombe Sportive of Ja and Lobo, received the award in recognition of his significant contributions to sport administration and public service. The ceremony brought together senior government officials, close collaborators of the ministry, and invited guests. Known for his resilience, dedication, and hard work, he continues to play a pivotal role in overseeing the construction, rehabilitation, and maintenance of educational and sporting facilities within the ministry. His dual expertise managing the financial and material resources at the Ministry of Basic Education while leading professional football club provides him with a unique perspective in developing and maintaining school sports infrastructure across the country. This combination of skills also strengthens the implementation of school-based sport programs, ensuring that resources are used efficiently and effectively. The recognition comes at a time when the Ministry of Basic Education is intensifying preparations for the upcoming FENASCO Games. Dr. Dako Ejane's leadership is expected to guide the initiatives that identify and nurture young athletes at early stage, fostering a strong link between basic education and the pathway to elite sports. His declaration underscores the ministry's commitment to combining education, sports development, and youth empowerment in Cameroon.
Still in Yaoundé, the Centre Regional Council has adopted a 14 billion CFA francs budget for the 2026 fiscal year aimed at accelerating development across the region. The adoption was made during the 4th session of the Centre Regional Council, presided over by its President Gilbert Timi Evuna this January 30, 2026. Jessica Ndiwum reports.
The Centre Regional Council has adopted a 14 billion franc CFA budget for the 2026 fiscal year, marking a major step towards accelerating development in the region. The budget was adopted during the 4th session of the Centre Regional Council, held on January 30th, 2026 in Yaoundé, and presided over by the President of the Council, Gilbert Timi Evuna. The 2026 budget prioritizes infrastructure development, social services, education, healthcare, and economic development with the objective of improving the living conditions of the population across the region. It is for these reasons that the real estate project proposed by the Regional Council for the 2026 fiscal year is more significant than those of previous years. The project focuses on continuing ongoing efforts to improve and maintain regional infrastructure and strengthen basic social services, particularly through the construction of educational and healthcare facilities. The adoption of the budget follows the Head of State Development Plan and the recent enactment of the law on local taxation, a significant step forward in the country's decentralization process, highlighting its plan of action. The regional hotel of the Centre region is one of my projects, though it is not the main or priority project. We have been working on it for 9 years and we intend to progress gradually. We don't need to rush into the future, but we should have ambitions, first for the city and now for the region, to create something meaningful and lasting. Among those present were the governor of the Centre region, the senior divisional officer of Mfundi, the vice president of the Senate, and other dignitaries. With the 2026 budget now approved, expectations are high that planned projects will bring tangible improvement to communities across the Centre region.
The capacity of regional executives in the littoral region and west regions have been strengthened. They gained knowledge on the monitoring and control of decentralized territorial collectives and budget execution. More highlights in the following reports. On January 28, 2026, presidents of the regional councils of Littoral and West, mayors, financial controllers specialized in decentralized territorial collectives, and public accountants gathered at the banquet hall of the Littoral region. Talks centered around strengthening their capacities on execution and follow-up of budget of decentralized territorial collectives for the 2026 fiscal year. The meeting was presided over by the governor of the Littoral region, Samuel Jodone Ivaha Deboa.
Chers élus locaux,
Dear local elected officials, in 2026, the general decentralization allocation for decentralized territorial collectives is 1,106 billion CFA francs, up from 958 billion in 2025. This represents a significant increase of 147.37 billion in absolute terms and 15.37% in relative terms. Regarding tax transfers for 2026, they are estimated at 603.6 billion CFA francs, with 117.8 billion for regions and 485.8 billion for municipalities. These substantial resource transfers to these cities demonstrate the government's commitment to strengthening decentralization. Presentations on the circular letters from the Minister of Finance and the Minister in charge of Decentralization and Local Development was done, and it followed by discussions to enhance understanding of financial implementation procedures.
Strengthening decentralization means innovation every year, and for these innovations to be effective, they need to be appropriated by everyone to be implemented. And we work in public finances, and public finances, like most other areas, work on basic procedures. Participants affirmed they have received all explanations on budget preparation and execution procedures.
And the Bafia District Hospital has been revamped and brought back to life. This is thanks to the dynamic staff and the work carried out so far. Let's watch.
The Bafia District Hospital in the Mbam and Inubu division now looks like this. The health facility is now up to speed and task thanks to the dynamism of the staff and hierarchy. The Bafia District Hospital is a reference hospital in the Mbam and Inubu division, and it covers other neighboring divisions such as the Leki. This district hospital now has a cold room, a bacteriology service, and several other services. We have about 13 specialties in the hospital, such as surgeons, mental health, pediatricians, and others, not forgetting cardiology department and gynecologists. The new phase of this health facility, which is now the pride of the division, was presented equally by authorities. The population of Bafia has to be happy and grateful for this, because what was not present in this area, the population can be proud of it, and many activities can be carried out here. It is worth mentioning that the Bafia District Hospital is one of the reference health facilities in the Center region.
The Mayor of Yaoundé 7, Augustin Tamba, has handed over a donation of materials for use in cleanup. The materials were donated from the Ministry of Territorial Administration and were distributed to the 30 communities that make up his municipality on January 29, 2026. As you tell us, Roger Snoom.
The sanitation kits, made up of items like wheelbarrows, spades, cutlasses and brooms, were handed over to the representatives of the 30 communities that make up Yaoundé 7 in an atmosphere of joy and hope. The mayor was clear on the importance of the donations and how to put them to use.
Nous voulons dire merci au ministre de l'administration territoriale.
Regarding the implementation of Yaoundé Clean City and our neighborhoods, we want to first recall that the President of the Republic has graciously granted significant support to all Mfundi municipalities to work towards making the city clean and our neighborhoods a pleasant place to live in. We also note that MINAT is supplementing what the President had already provided. We thank the Minister of Territorial Administration for this and assure that the operation is being carried out with administrative authorities. In Yaoundé 7, the DO will supervise and the SDO will coordinate under the guidance of the Center Region Governor. We are committed to you. We call on residents and their representatives to use the equipment wisely like a good family head. It should help make our environment clean, improve hygiene, and keep roads and public places tidy. Yaoundé 7 will begin with the President's donation. 400 youths are mobilized, and that's huge.
Effectivement, donner la dimension qu'il faut à cette opération Yaoundé Ville Propre.
The beneficiaries didn't hide their joy in receiving the gifts, as confessed by one of them.
Nos impressions sont les meilleures parce que ça entre.
Our impressions are the best because it aligns with the participatory approach that decentralization is promoting. So when the minister sends us this equipment, we'll use it wisely and do everything to improve hygiene in our village and contribute to fighting diseases. You know, in our village, you have a problem with stagnant water and runoff. So we are very happy about this equipment.
Nous sommes très contents par rapport à ce matériel.
It was a hectic day for the mayor, who hopped from the event to preside over a coordination meeting of the Mfundi 7th section of the ruling CPDM party. At the meeting, the man of the people, who doubles as Mfundi's 7th section president, chaired talks related to preparations for the upcoming municipal and legislative elections.
And that report takes us to the end of tonight's edition. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks very much for watching, and stay in the company of our beautiful programs. Have a lovely weekend.